Okay, we are beginning. Hello and welcome to Planet Earth Poetry on this evening, February 6th. And this is a special night celebrating the hordes and hordes of bees who help keep this wonderful venue going. And I'm your host for the evening. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Good. I'm your host for the evening. I'm Barbara Pelman. Happy to see all of you here. So tonight we're celebrating the poetry of, 20 volunteers, but I think 2 of them can't come. And there's also a number of brief bees, as they call themselves, those who have come, done a little thing, and then disappeared, though they're still part of this whole wonderful community. And so the bees began, I think, 2008, somewhere near the beginning when Yvonne Romer was artistic director and also a new mom. And so she was a little bit overwhelmed. So we began to meet at Romeo's, which was when Planet Earth was at Hillside or Black Stilt. And we met there and helped Yvonne as much as we possibly could. And then when she moved to become the poet laureate, and we got Daniel, who had been a bee, and then got to be the queen bee as artistic director. So the bees continued in Daniel's. We met at Daniel's house, and then it just carried on. And so, and it is expanded. We've lost a few who are still part of the community, but it's been just really amazing to see how this little supportive group, well, not so little, makes it all possible. Not that the ADs don't do a ton of work, but it's really nice to be able to say, oh, I can pick that up. I'll do the tea, I'll do the workshops, I'll do this, I'll do that. So that's how we all began. Okay, so also tonight, as each night, as all the time, we are gathered here and are grateful to be gathered here on the homelands of the Lekwungen people. It's a word that means the people of the smoked herring. I love smoked herring. And the people of the people of the smoked herring and the people who tend to the smoked herring. So they're also known as the Songhees in the Esquimalt Nation. They speak the language Lekwungen. We're very grateful to be able to continue to present creative work here. And we also are an oral language. Poetry began as an oral language. And so we have that tradition of the importance of how words carry weight, how words are important. And we hope to continue this for millions of years to come. Okay, so we're committed to making space for First Nations voices, celebrating the poetry of First Nations poets, and grateful to the Victoria Arts Council for special travel sponsorship for Indigenous and BIPOC poets who are not here tonight. We're not bringing them to travel. Okay, and thank you to our other sponsors, the Capital Regional District, the Writers Union of Canada, the League of Canadian Poets, and a special thank you, always a special thank you to Russell Books, who offered this incredible and perfect space, though I'm sorry, there are no lattes and no wine, but everything else is here. And so we're very grateful to be able to read in this venue, surrounded by books. Okay, Planet Earth Poetry has served this poetry community for 30 years. Isn't that amazing? It's wonderful. We've uplifted the voices of poets from the West Coast to the East Coast, and as art funding is cut, we're not willing to vanish. So Saturday the 31st was meant to be the final day of our 30 for 30. It's a great idea, and thank you to Anna for 30 for 30. Anyway, it's wonderful. So this GoFundMe campaign has carried on, and we're going to just add a little bit more, 2 weeks. So we're close to our goal. If you want to add another 30, that would be super. If you know friends who haven't yet put in their little $30, tell them to go to the GoFundMe, tell them to go to the webpage of Planet Earth Poetry, and that's easy. Okay, so we're happy with the support we've got. We're almost at our goal. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. During the readings, we open the Russell Book staff washrooms for you, which are downstairs and in that corner. But as you know, the elevators are off, so if you have to go before break, you have to go to this elevator there, then go downstairs, across there to the washrooms, okay? And at the break, we'll put the elevator back on, zoom, 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 and you can then go down there. It's no point trying to talk to me here. Okay, so we have, we are celebrating the bees tonight, as many as we can bring into our hive. And because there's so many and you don't want to see me bobbing up and down and up and down, we're going to do this in little tercettes of 3. Okay, so I'm going to introduce the first 3, and I'm not going to do their bios. You can ask them, but I will tell you what they do as bees. And then so you guys have to remember who you come after. Got it? And then at the break, after the break, we will move not to 3s, but to cinquains, 5 at a time, 2 groups of 5. So you have to work a little bit harder to remember who you come after. Got it? All right. We're going to be so smooth tonight. Okay. The first reading of tercettes. That's 3. We begin with Anna Cavouras, rhymes with dinosaurus. She is PEP's first intern and assistant to the AD. So she's the author, as I said, of the brilliant idea 30 for 30. After Anna comes Allegra. Have you figured out the alphabetical order? And Allegra Kaplan, she's the PEP intern, focusing on equity and outreach. And after Anna and Allegra comes Andrea. So Andrea Scott, she was part of the PEP's first social media team, which of course gets bigger and bigger as social media gets bigger and bigger, and we need to keep track of all that. Okay, so Anna, Allegra, Andrea. Yay.
Hello. So I'm going to read you a poem called Northern Prices. And because I like my poetry political, this poem is for all those who told the truth and weren't believed. This is an after poem, possibly a nonce, if I did it correctly, written after Patrick Grace's poem titled Caterpillar from his collection Deviant. So the lines from Caterpillar are as follows. Does it come as a shock how I engaged in light dusting, even at the knock, rinsed with mouthwash, let the wine touch open air, forgot to tell a friend I was alone, as the stranger entered and locked the door. Northern Prices. Forgot to tell a friend I was alone, as the stranger entered and locked the door. Everyone already knew I was alone, so nothing really to tell. A crowbar cracked the sill, co-op price tags still attached, where we all paid Northern Prices for cereal, crowbars, and cans. Curtains flutter, a fly panics, click at the lock, sealing us in. Forgot to tell a friend I was alone, as the stranger entered and locked the door. Thank you.
Hello. I'll be reading a poem of mine that came out in the most recent issue of Yoke. It is an ABCdarian in honor of the collaborative ABCdarian that some of us wrote together at the PEP party recently. It's called 26 Times Glass Was Not Strong Enough. Thank you. 26 times glass was not strong enough. At the back of your house, tipping over bottles of apple cider vinegar with the mother still intact, behind priority, closer to excess, curtained off from our longing, relinquishing burdens under our breath, driving past never say die farms, speaking death into existence like our lives depended on it, earning raindrops on the windshield for each failed attempt. Folkloric in my commitment to rehearsal, flirtatious in your commitment to gulping soda surrounded only by sprawl, beholden only to water towers and grain elevators, holding tight to the reality of boiling those pots dry, in order, perhaps, to fend off the hot metal fist of our luck. Jousting with it, jeering with it, germane to very little, but keen, like shoving our thumbs into oranges the way men have shoved their thumbs into us. Neither necessary nor pithy, but certainly pressed for something, open to the possibility of naming it, that pain opaque in all the ways that matter, quiescent for a time, flickering under a body of heat, righted, then off balance, then righted again, strung together by globs of duckweed and ignorance, tumultuous for all the wrong reasons and timid under the smack and gurgle of the light, then veering wildly the way your maternal grandfather biked into that shop window. Waffler, this one's for you. Xanthan gum and licorice, leather vest and matching cap. Your ambivalence never threatened our footing, but I wanted it anyway. Zoned out or zeroed in, reflected back at us through that shivery, glossy pane. Thank you.
This right? Oh yeah, okay, right on. Last January, I was lucky enough to take a course with Kieran. I'm wondering when the next courses are on offer, but I think you're pretty busy too. A handful of us took classes with her. It was a long poem class. And I wrote a long poem addressing my deceased mother in several sections about various different things. This is just a section, kind of from the midsection. This is Hudson Bay Company things. I wanted flare corduroys for back to school, and that department store clerk thought I was a boy, not a tomboy, so you snapped at her quick and sharp. And was it her again at the next back to school shopping trip who called me flat, and maybe even flat as a pancake? So no need for a bra. And you were a superhero that time. You got taller, wider too, with your own Wonder Woman wonder bra bosom. You said, show us the training bras. And now, because girls practice for this sort of thing, they train and they train and they must and they must. And later, when I gave you something to get mad about at the bay, switching tags on boxer shorts to save $2 on a gift for my new friend Anne, when I got caught and detained, you weren't so mad, maybe expected worse, since I'd said on the phone I was in trouble and had to talk. And I stopped shopping there for a while, band and all, but you kept going back for dresses for your future skinny self, plus items for my hope chest, as if I'd float away on a steamer to a grand marriage one day and stay married with all my shiny cutlery and fluffy white towels, or that was the hope anyway. I think you'd grieve now for how the towels went gray, and the marriages did too, and also how the bay is gone. So no more bay days, and no one knows where on earth to get bras or boxers or towels, right? Nobody knows. No one knows how to fill up the hope chests. Thank you.
Aren't these great? And you're probably wondering and wishing you could have had more poems from each of us, but you can't. So everyone's been told one fabulous poem and that's it. So that's what you're going to get, is one fabulous poem from 18 fabulous people. Okay, next group. So the next tercet starts with me. Oh, yay. So you know me, I'm a previous workshop coordinator, and now mostly the proofreader and occasional host. Following me will be Clare Sharpe, involved in website creation, web page creation, and then Lorne Daniel, occasional event host and event setup. Okay, so there's the three of us. Okay, and here's me. So this poem is called Walk On. It's a fugue. And it's very short, so I can just tell you a little bit about the marvelous way in which poems come. So I'm quite intrigued by that. So some poems, you work at, you go line by line, and then you go back again, and line by line, and back again. Some poems just fly down, sit on your desk, and go, hello, and you go, oh my God. So this one came like that. So I was at a workshop with Yvonne, and we were being taught fugues. So we went through how to do fugues, and then I wrote this poem, and I went, oh my God. And then it was just as is, except for the last line, and I couldn't quite get the last line because, as you'll see, it needed to be true, and I didn't really know how I could make it true, and I did not know whether I knew whether it was true. So that was a working. And a fugue is like a musical fugue. So there is a repetition of either a phrase or words, and they keep repeating randomly, sporadically. So it's not like anaphora that repeats at the beginning. You'll hear it. So it becomes like this musical tale that runs through it. Okay. It's called Walk On for Laura, who's my daughter. You'll figure that out too. The first time she stood, her own feet holding her, balance of knee and thigh, eyes forward, her diaper sliding perilously down, barefoot, wearing a shirt I had embroidered in the days she would lie still in a crib. The first time she knew she didn't need me to taxi her across the room, eyes forward to where she wanted to go. The embroidered days of breast and sleep gone now. She balanced need in her perilous glance, here and here, no longer still in a crib, but standing, her own feet marking the path embroidered with perilous ledges, a highway across winter, always forward in her balance of need and knowing. And I taxi her around in my mind, embroider her days with my perilous love, cribbed but never absent.
How's about that? So I'm advised to read a poem that's already been published because I'm in school. And so there's not hellish much of a selection if I'm looking at stuff that's been published. So to those of you who've heard this before, I'm very sorry. You can have a wee nap. And for those of you that haven't, the one or two, here it is. So this poem is called Jacob's Ladder. At age 4, Jacob likes to gouge his own eyes, press hard on the lids until they stream stars in flashes across his retinas. Beneath the arc of those long, ridiculously beautiful lashes, he triggers a sparkle fest of phosphines and watches the contrails' pretty show. Something's not right with that kid, my soon-to-be ex-husband says, before they pin our bright boy to the spectrum like a specimen. After that comes Jacob's intense senses of the quarreling squirrels. They cannot hide from him in the shadow of their flicking tails. Each neighborhood gadabout is a question and answer quiz. His running tally of the invasive eastern grays and the smaller European reds, proof as if needed, that the little guy usually loses. We shouldn't feed them. We should let them fight their own battles, Jacob says, ever the fatalist. By now, he knows about battles. He fights his own daily war with pajamas and socks. The clock's persistent tick-tock. He knows what it is to spin and rock. He knows what it is to be solitary. Growing up, the way his words concatenate in a quick, brisk torrent of thought, his mind hard set on a thing so hard he could not hear a bomb drop. His many large obsessions, the arcane rites of hand claps and repetitive touch. Jacob the lone player, me the clasp that hinges him to home. The ladder he climbs to touch the lowering sky. The two of us yoked together in our syzygy. Oh my son, for you I would descend into perpetual darkness, into the depths of the abyssal pelagic, to discover how the faceless fish learn to adapt, how in the blackness they find a way to generate their own light and modify their soft bodies to survive.
Thanks, Barbara, and everyone. It's great to be here in this always supportive community of poets, and particularly on a night when we get to hear everyone's poems like this. It's just wonderful. So this is a short one from my book that came out last September. The book is What is Broken Binds Us. Our kit. We're missing something. Gaps in our kit. We understand the game, a moon mission, team exercise, what you need and don't need for the unfamiliar, the hostile environment. A team member stranded in space. Plans best done by a group. 15 items to rank. Signal flares, that's dumb. Life raft, dumber. Tanks of oxygen, that I get. But everything in this game can be second guessed. 2 pistols with no mention of ammunition. Alone, I always miss some crucial element. The fire starter, the warm wrap, batteries. The two of us are not much better. Vacant looks, one to the other, to our kit and back. And the problem, are we preparing for the right rescue? What planet are we on? What moon awaits?
Wow. Just gets better and better and better. Marvelous poems. Thank you all so much. We are now ready for our third tercet. If I can find my notes. Here we are. So the third group, Laurence Hutchman, who's a new board member. After him, Margaret. Is Margaret here?
No.
She's not here. So in absentia, Margaret Lonsdale, who helped with production of the Poets Caravan. So if you haven't checked out the Poets Caravan, it was our project for 25 years. So it was like 5 years ago, but it's still around. There's this little planet Earth, Google Earth, and you can hear 44 poets reading on their particular landscape. It's quite wonderful. Okay, so there'll be Laurence, and then no Margaret, and then Marlene Grandmacher, who's a previous board secretary and is a loyal PEP person. Okay, so we will have just the two, and then we'll take a break, and then I think we'll add one. Let's have one. Nancy Issenman. So then it wrecks my tercets and cinquains, but I'll figure it out. Okay, so then the third will be Nancy, who's the coordinator. She was the coordinator of the monthly writing practice sessions, which were terrific. And she's an assistant with events and occasional host, and was also part of the workshop team. Okay, so that's the three. So Laurence and Marlene and Nancy.
Oh, it's great to be here tonight to celebrate planet Earth poetry and all the people who keep it alive. Great to be here tonight. Is that better?
Yeah.
To celebrate planet Earth poetry and the people who keep it alive. I feel like a recording here. Is it an instant replay? I said on Facebook this week that Planet Earth Poetry is the best reading series in Canada. And
We're here.
so I'm going to read you a poem from my early collection, my second book, a long time ago, and second of my 14. Al Purdy wrote to me and said, I like this poem, Lifeguard of yours, so much that I typed it up in his crooked typewriter. I saw it in the archives. And so here it is, Lifeguard. The bricks have never been so red. The sky is blue as it was in the beginning, a clear pastel eternity. The clouds are fantastic swirls, feelings. The brilliant grass glimmers through the fence, and I must watch this lonely swimmer, 10 years old and struggling in the shallow water. Look, I can almost touch bottom. Go away, I want to be with Rilke. Go away and leave me alone with the sky. He is panting, gurgling, laughing, asking questions, then breaks the surface with a frightened stare. There the clouds, fence, trees, and red bricks. Go away, I want to be with Rilke. I look at him at the water. I'm looking at Rilke.
Whoa. It's great to be here. I go back to the Mocambo days, Mocambo restaurant on Blanchard, and it never gets stale. It's always fresh to be around PEP. I'm going to read a glossa. The lines come from Louise Glick's poem, Messengers, and I'll read those 4 lines. You have only to wait, they will find you. The geese flying low over the marsh, glittering in black water, they find you. Slip the knot. You step through a gate into a summer field. Many horses are buried here. Others graze above the phantom herd. Call them back each night. You need to be this close to wind and fire made flesh. Wounded, you press your back to the earth, your aging body pulled to home ground by the beat of hooves. You have only to wait, they will find you. The quiver of the wild beneath their skin, even their stillness is mercurial. How strange that we break them until they let us ride on their backs. You are meant to curry and brush, to pick hooves, haul hay and shovel manure. Excluded from their bond, you stand apart. As one, their ears swivel to a rustle, the geese flying low over the marsh, above the field, velvet blanketed and deep in a full moon sleep. Its single eye, the pond, keeps watch as hooves cry to hooves, the dead to the living. Your heart wilds, and you are hoarse. You rear and buck. For a moment, you slip the knot that makes us other. The herd drifts to the pond to drink, their eyes' reflections caught, glittering in black water. You walk towards the leader, a white mare. She is wary, then indifferent. You are not one of hers. In the morning, she will find you, pin you in the entrance to her stall. Helpless, the pressure on your chest so acute, you will fear you have met your death. She will back off, and you will fall on your knees, still breathing. No matter how bruised, they find you. Thank you.
Hello. Hello out there too. No one said hello to you.
No.
Sorry. We see you. This is fabulous. Thank you so much to all the bees reading. This is a poem that came from a prompt where we were given 10 words. It wasn't CV2, but there are some words that you might think, oh, those belong in the poem because they had to be. So it's called Waiting Game. I plant some bulbs and wait. Wonder how long it will take for green to shoot through soil like some wild cowlick. The enigma of it, a universe held within a small nub while seasons lurk, heat and cold shifting, windy rains follow parched earth. Oh, luscious petrichor, how fluent your language of the heart, loquacious, every word fraught with a fragrance so delicate, so impossible to miss. Sometimes, too, my heart is buried, a story waiting to bloom under ephemeral conditions. Perhaps a ludicrous limerick, an iridescent haiku, fascinating flash fiction, a cosmos of crimson spring tulips.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you for our first round. Thank you, Anna and Allegra and Andrea and me and Clare and Lorne and Laurence and Marlene and Nancy. That's our first round. And yes, I'm very sorry, Zoomland, that I forgot to say hello. Thank you, Nancy, for doing it first. So now we're going to take a break. It is now 8:05, so we'll take just a 5-minute break. Okay, so hi again, Zoomland out there. Here we are again. So this time there is a cinquain of readers, 5. And then after that will be a quatrain of readers, 4. And then we're done. And then you'll be able to just enjoy and digest these fabulous poems and talk to the poets and tell them how wonderful they were, etc. Okay, so we begin again. First we have Rhona and Sandy and Sheila. And let me just explain that. So first we have Nancy Yakimoski, who coordinates the lending library, the PEP lending library at Cedar Hill Rec Center. Did you know we had one? So it's great. So go and use it. After Nancy will be Rhona McAdam, who's the YouTube editor, workshop venue host of Deliciousness, and writing practice techie. After that, we won't have Rhona Grandigans, who's the first one who set up the website, and she's in Vancouver. And we won't have Sharon Lee, who does the official PEP posters, but we will have Sandy O'Reilly, who does the event photos and the tea coordination, and Sheila Martindale, who's the event coordinator of the Poetry in the Afternoon events at James Bay New Horizons Center. So that is 1, 2, 3. Anyway, there we are. Okay. Oh, and no, she's next. Did I no, Sheila? I'm sorry. All right. See, I'm trying to change all of this and it's not working. So, Nancy, Rhona, Sandy, Sheila Martindale, and Sheila McIvor. Sheila McIvor is the tea assistant and helper at events. So, have we got it? All right, I'll try to figure this out next time. Away we go.
Good evening. Higher. Oh. There we go. Thank you. This is a poem from my ongoing manuscript about raising a child with Down syndrome, and it's called What's the Word For? His son's medical diagnoses are complex, he explains. Heart surgeries, one code blue, cerebral palsy. Unable to sit up, he lays. They installed a TV screen on the ceiling for homeschooling. He's 8 and baby talks. He glances at my son and says, only families like ours understand what it's like. He felt less alone after he and his wife found a great support group. He enthusiastically invites me to join, gives me the group's name and the details for the next meeting. I say that I will look it up and I may see them there. It's not a complete lie. I will look it up, but it's unlikely I will go. Not because I don't like him or support groups, or that I don't have time or see the value. It's just that it's because it's a perfect example of what's the word for avoiding being in a group because compared to those sitting in the circle, you feel like you have won the lottery. Oh.
Okay, hello. I'm in a process of trying to rehabilitate some of my old poems because you get them published in books and then they just disappear. So this is from Xville, which came out in 2014. And I just wanted to say we've heard lots of great poems about parenting, including the one we just heard. But there's just not so many of them for people like me who don't have kids and who haven't parented, and whether by choice or by circumstance. So this was my attempt to level the field. I raise a glass. I raise a glass of water to my lips. My unborn daughter will not waste a single tear for lack of it, nor will her brothers taste sand. I will not peer through my own reflection to witness my children's wrong turnings, or search for entry into rooms where they lie too still. I do not have to watch them age or cut my hand off at the wrist when my fingers tangle so in their lives. They've not been born to comfort me, nor did they cause what brings me to my knees in a faithless universe. Their hands were never big enough to hold, nor they of a size to cradle, nor will they cradle me. Month after month they came calling, tapping at the doors of my body, and I, who knew nothing of children, fed them on salt and water, blessed the small deaths passing through me. One by one they tucked the blankets of themselves around them and departed on a tide of blood and a promise of pain. So many years of departures. I spent their allowance on poetry and travel, fed their dinners to the dog and loved him unfairly, and the others. They cried for their father who never came home, who lost his way in the woods one night, who never looked for us, who was unworthy, who foundered on the shores of another life, who is lost and broken without us. We never knew his name, but waited for him anyway, and now he's too late. They are one more never in the chain of nevers crumpling my throat. I am the keeper of their names and their untold fortunes, guardian of the wrongs I will never do them. Thanks.
Oh, this is lots of fun, actually. This is great. I was at a workshop one time, and one of the prompts was, what would you like to have as a superpower? And at first I thought I'd really love to have Beam Me Up Scotty as my mantra, where I could just go anywhere I wanted to in the time. But then I realized that the thing I love most about the universe is light. I like lightning and phosphorescence and fireflies and aurora borealis and light on snow and on water and shadows and reflections. I just like everything about it. So I call this bend light. If I could bend light, I'd bend it around the corner of the building so that the sun would shine on my balcony all day. I'd bend it through the leaves in the tulip trees so that the light would lay on my poppies like a hand. I'd bend it up and over the mountain across from the cabin in Grand Forks to keep away the dark in the winter. I'd bend it out through the clouds on the days that leave us thick and blurred. I'd bend lightning into writing on the wall. I'd bend the light in your eyes out into every single thing in the universe and bend it into the blue sky and back right into my heart and out again. I'd be a conduit for light.
I never know how anybody can remember their poetry. And I'm always amazed when I hear Sandy read, or recite, I should say. Okay, looking around the room, I should guess that some of you have worked at some time in your lives in an office. So this is a three-part poem called Office Flowers. He gives her flowers in appreciation for all her work over the year. There's also a fancy ribbon and a nice card. And she smiles and demurs, maybe blushes a little, making the proper response. It would be ungracious to say that she'd rather have a voice in how things were done, that she'd rather her real skills were being used, that she'd rather be paid what she's worth, that she'd rather he were less patronizing and she had more prestige. She will not be ungracious, so she thanks him for his kindness, sets the flowers on her desk, and quietly resumes work. 2. He brings her flowers. Week after week, her desk is a pool of color and fragrance in the office wasteland. He brings these flowers when he comes to take her for lunch or to pick her up. He always picks her up after work. She never has to take the bus or walk. The other women wish he would not do this. They get tired of seeing these flowers, which are replaced almost before they die. It makes their own lives seem drab and bare, accentuates their loneliness, the dull grind of their lives. It emphasizes their lack of gallant and romantic men. They hate to be spectators of caring and commitment of other people's happy ever after. 3. He sends her flowers. The phone and the credit card take care of it. Someone else writes the message. It is quick, easy, and painless. The flowers are delivered to the oohs and ahs of all the office and are deposited on her desk. They are beautiful and not intended to make her weep. They will bring him a clear conscience for at least a week.
So this is what it looks like on this side. This poem emerged after a few days of a retreat I attended in the fall. And I also want to thank everybody that's read before me. I started wishing that my name was Alice so I could go first. But okay. It's called Rear View Mirror. I've spent most of my life looking over my shoulder at the shoulds, the what ifs, the whys. To make looking back easier, I bolted a rear view mirror to my head. It was often painful, but the mirror did its job. It kept me in the past, reflecting and holding me back. It was heavy and cumbersome. Sometimes it would loosen and throw me off balance until I retightened the screws. But every time I referred to the mirror, I missed the view ahead. I walked into a lot of walls, into blind corners and dead ends. Then grandchildren came along. To them, the only view is the one in front of them. I wasn't going to miss it. So with the help of some WD-40, I unscrewed the rusty bolts and removed the mirror, then smashed it into 1,000 pieces. Now I sit on a hillside above a wide green valley with Luca, Cass, and Matteo. We snack, we chat. And when Matteo cries, "Look," I look forward.
Again, an amazing group of poets, really kind of speechless making. Okay, and this is our final group of, I think we're quatrains, but I'll stop trying to do that. Next, we have Susan Braley, who is part of the original workshop events group and the summer retreat team. After her is Terri Gower, who's the social media manager and manages the poetry news part of the newsletter. Next, we have Torsten Shoeneburg, who's an occasional host and does the Canada Helps thank you letters. And finally, poor Wendy, whose actual first name is Margaret, and could have used it this time around. But. So finally, Wendy, who's a previous board member, part of the workshop events team, and creator of the marvelous Unpacking the Poem project, which is still on the website. Check it out. Okay, so that is Susan, Terri, Torsten, Wendy, the quatrain that will end us this marvelous evening.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to be reading a poem this evening called Self-Portraits. The last line of this poem is from Patrick Lane's poem, The Bare Plum of Winter Rain. Self-portraits. I am grown, held fast in this skin, sealed envelope. I am scarcely born. I weep at the beat of rawhide drums. I am separate, rare metal, osmium, rhodium. My eyes are hazel, my siblings blue. I am linked. When my brother's car left the highway, I knew. In Works Theatre, I am fearless. I have arrived. In the birth room, I see my body is not a cowl enough to shield my child. I am not composed. On the phone to a refugee stopped in Greece, I am undone, his diamond-tipped hope. I grieve alone, muster the daylight. In dreams, my brother breaks through force fields to hug me. I write, I write. I rasp one mind's mute bone. My fingers write on their own. Stay, stay with music after music plays.
Hello. This has been such an awesome night. I've really enjoyed hearing everyone read. I'm going to read a poem from this anthology I worked on called Becoming, an anthology of what-if poems about womanhood, in which Persephone advises Eve on birth control. Sister, listen to me. When you lose yourself in the garden, pick one of mother's ripe red pomegranates. Save it for dessert. Beware the serpent who will offer the blushing apple as a better snack after he shares your lover's bed. Not all women wish to be mothers. Stroke it between your palms, and then tear open the waxy skin to expose bloody seedlings that turn to black pits. Do not be afraid of nights spent alone. Swallow the seed so that you are not stuck swaddling a fig-leafed, berry red babe while caring for a bearded boy. Sister, sweet dreams.
Good evening. Hello there. 3 people. I was wondering how many. So, for a day job, I teach calculus at the university. And today we had to do word problems. The students don't like word problems. I said, nor do I. Word problems force us to apply mathematics to reality. Who wants that? Reality, that's the place out there where everyone dies. Yeah, they got the same reaction. Anyway, I have 2 publications. One is called Semi-Simple Lie Algebras and the Classification over P-adic Fields. And the other is Brenda Craig-Darroch doesn't care if you read this book. I'm going to read from this one. I was just delighted to see there's still 5 copies on the local authors shelf here. Anyway, I'm just going to read. So this is 21 prose poems that I wrote about 6 to 8 years ago, and this is the shortest one. It's called Brenda Craig-Darroch and Religions. Brenda Craig-Darroch had the following approach to religions. She tried to be a member of each and every religion known to her, which was easy for some because you could be a member by just believing yourself to be one in your head. You did not have to sign up or register for anything. Whereas for others, you did have to register or sign up and pay for a membership, or at least get ostracized if you didn't donate, which Brenda never did. So she was kicked out of many religions, but liked to stay in the ones that let her in and never bothered her for just being there, silently watching and listening, but never responding, never joining a chant, never saying amen, never signing up for next time. And occasionally Brenda just went to a temple, mosque, synagogue, church, coffee house, bookstore, whatever building she found where some worshippers let her in without asking too many questions. Then she attended a ceremony, quietly watching and listening and not bothering anyone and not being bothered, and feeling a little less lonely. As a surprise to herself, her favorite were the Jehovah's Witnesses. Thank you.
I've never seen the hive full of bees before. This is a wonderful evening. I wanted to write a poem about weather because it seems to be so much on our minds these days. And I chose one from my first book, Thin Air of the Knowable. And you may remember that some years ago, before COVID, there was a terrible flood in Calgary, in Alberta, all over the place. Anyway, this is where this is set. Kit Kats for the Blessed. My beloved lives down the river valley, edged by escarpments, wild above wolf willows and golf club condos. Occasionally, her neighbor's garage opens to an Aladdin's cave of pastel Rubbermaids, stacked up the walls, mitered into corners, even piled on platforms pulled to the ceiling. The neighbor peers kindly over rimless specks, has brought us homemade Saskatoon preserves, although her faith group prescribes stockpiled food only for the righteous. Come the apocalypse, all nature will surge and thunder, obliterate the godless, while the saved will open their Rubbermaids for canned soup, noodles, potato chips of bliss, Kit Kats of the blessed. Sometimes we joke nervously, what if they're right? Remembering last year's floods that yanked trees from their moorings, swallowed buses like so much Lego, smashed them into bridges, swept houses built on floodplains into the current like those biblical warnings against houses built on sand. It's hard to believe now. The river's sage and pewter shimmer belies its grip and drag along the continent's spine, beneath a sky innocent with Magritte clouds. But a year ago, I watched as mammoth chunks of coulee split and thundered down the cliff, smashed the gulch, clogging the sky with dust, rowdy as Armageddon. And we imagine huddling by that garage door, scratching for alms under damning torrential hail, having long scraped out the peanut butter jar and downed the last of the wine. Might our neighbor feel a faint regret at the plop of Rubbermaid lids, glug of water tank, crinkle of Miss Vicky bags, sizzle of deep fryer, and songs of jubilation as she waits till the damned are washed downstream and the cleansed world gleams green as golf condos.
Oh my, what a night. Thank you. Let's have another round of applause for these marvelous people.